All right, guys, welcome in here to a very special edition of WrestleVotes Radio, free across all of Sportskeeda's platforms right now, YouTube and Facebook. Everybody who subscribes to Backstage Pass that's listening, we appreciate that. We are here, Royal Rumble Saturday. We are live for the next 45 minutes to an hour. We want your questions right away, so if you got them, send them over. Our producer will put them up, and we'll get to it. We got a lot of things to talk about. As always, I am Joey Votes, and it wouldn't be WrestleVotes Radio without TC. So, TC, welcome in here. Happy Royal Rumble, pal.
Happy Royal Rumble, Mr. Joey Votes. It is a pleasure to be alongside you here live for WrestleVotes Radio for the very first time. I am excited that the day is finally upon us, and a lot to talk about here as the Royal Rumble has a million different endings that we have no idea what it's going to be. This is going to be a spoiler-free zone here today. We're going to be hitting you guys with our predictions and what we think is going to happen. But I want to let everybody know that we're not going to be here spoiling the show. Strictly predictions and what we think based on our analysis of the show and as fans. I mean, this is one of the most exciting days of any wrestling fans calendar year. So I'm happy to be here alongside you guys. And Joey Votes, thank you for having me.
Yeah, definitely not a show where we're going to ruin it for you. We're this close out, 2 hours till bell time. So don't worry about anything. You might get a nugget of interest that we've been hearing throughout the last couple of days since we spoke to you on Thursday, but certainly nothing to worry about. So, TC, let's get into real quick what we saw on SmackDown last night with Kevin Owens and CM Punk. Do you think it bleeds over at all tonight, or was that just another way to kill some time and throw people off maybe like they did with Kevin Owens on Monday night?
Well, I think everybody's favorite tonight is going to be CM Punk winning the Royal Rumble. So they've really laid into CM Punk as the guy having face-to-face with Cody and Kevin Owens in the same week here. So I think, for my money, I'm going to go with CM Punk as my winner tonight. For a long time, I was leaning towards John Cena, but the way that they have portrayed CM Punk's inability to make it to the main event of WrestleMania, I definitely believe is for a reason. And that will be obviously the story throughout the match. No matter where CM Punk enters tonight, you will be hearing a lot about his inability to make it to the main event of WrestleMania. And if tonight will be the night, he can change those storylines against him. So I'm excited to see if that's the case. And I don't know. What do you think, Joey Votes? What's your opinion on where CM Punk is headed for WrestleMania?
Yeah, I think it's going to obviously become a lot clearer tonight, but I don't see CM Punk and Kevin Owens meeting up at all at WrestleMania. I think that was maybe a tease for later in the year. But if they want to go down that road at this last minute, that's cool because I think it's a match a lot of people would enjoy. TC, quickly, we have 4 matches on the card tonight, and we're going to do our predictions towards the end. But we do want to bring on a special guest who is joining us from an official WWE watch party over in Dallas, Texas at the Cosm. Andrew Baydala, good friend of the show. He's on Twitter and X and everything else. He's going to join us, and we're going to talk about tonight's Royal Rumble event. What do you say?
Yeah, let's get him in here. The first special entrant of the evening. The Royal Rumble is all about special entries and special guests, so it is a pleasure to have our friend, as we know him, Ticket Drew here. Andrew, welcome to the show. How are you this afternoon?
I don't know if he's in yet.
I am. I don't know if anybody can.
Here he is.
There he is.
All right, I'm good. I want to make sure you guys can hear me. Thanks for having me. Yeah, this place, I'm at the Cosmo in Dallas. It is an insane experience. Some stars are here. There's a ton of fans here. It's absolutely wild.
What was the fee to get in there tonight? What was the ticketing like?
Well, I was given tickets, but I believe it was, I want to say the average ticket price was about like 90 to like 75 and 90. And then if you want a VIP table, it was $800 to $900. It seats about 4 people. But when you'll see my X later on tonight and today, because the Rumble, thank God, is at 6 o'clock Eastern, I believe. So the experience here is insane. I got a tour; it's wild. They have their own production crew at Lucas Oil Stadium.
Wow!
This place has their own production crew at Lucas Oil.
So, Andrew, for those who might not know what Cosm is, please describe for us what exactly you get when you attend one of these Cosm events.
So basically, it's a all-inclusive viewing experience. So, like the Sphere, UFC ran an event in the Sphere, but there was actually an octagon and there was a fight. This is basically a virtual experience unlike anything you've ever seen. And I don't work for Cosm. If Cosm's watching this, I'll be sitting in the front row. I'd appreciate maybe, a little love. No, I'm only kidding. But it is an unbelievable experience. It truly is. Like the visuals, they have cameras kind of sitting ringside. They have it behind the announce table. They have it at the entrance ramp. It's crazy. You're basically inside the building, and you're basically like either ringside or wherever you want to be. They're going to give you that vantage point. It's crazy. For me to put it into words, like we always talk about the future, right? Everyone's like, oh, flying cars and everything else like that. This is the future of viewing experiences. I would love to watch a sports game here. Football, basketball, hockey, baseball, whatever. It's just right now, like watching it, it's insane. It really is.
Yeah, we're pretty pumped up to see your Twitter tonight to see what the experience is like from inside. So good luck with all that when the show starts. But we want to get your thoughts on a couple of the matches tonight. So let's hit the two big ones. What are your overall thoughts on the Women's Royal Rumble? What kind of surprises do you expect? And maybe who do you like coming out on top?
For the Women's Rumble, I'm going to say I think Jordynne Grace is going to have the most, eliminations. I think she's going to have a big, and I'm sorry if you hear, there's a ton of people here, so I'm sorry and there's a crowd forming around me, so I apologize if you hear people. But
That's all right.
I think Jordynne Grace is going to have.
Uh-oh. TC, I think we might have lost him.
I think the fans in Dallas may have taken Andrew Big Dalla out. As soon as the people heard that he was on WrestleVotes Radio, they may have just taken him right out of the equation there. Has he been eliminated? Are you the first elimination of the Royal Rumble there, Andrew?
I think I'm still here. Are you guys here?
Yep.
Only one foot has hit the ground.
All right. I'm still here.
Go ahead.
I think Jordynne Grace is going to have a big night. I think she's going to have the most eliminations. I think she's a surprise entrant. I think Nikki Bella's in this thing. I think CM Punk is a smart man, and he's a great husband, but I don't think AJ Lee's in this tonight. I think Becky's in it. I think Trish Stratus is in it, but I'm going to go with the winner being Charlotte Flair for me. And I think Jordynne Grace has a show tonight.
Go ahead, TC.
So if Charlotte Flair is your pick, does she go after which
Tiffy
champion
time,
in your
baby.
opinion? Is it going to be her and Tiffy?
Tiffy time. Absolutely.
All right, Ticket Drew. Give me everybody knows who's in the men's one. The big names, the Punks, the Reigns, the Rollins, the Cenas. You got one choice. Who is it?
Well, I'll tell you who's not in the Rumble tonight, and that's Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, because they are right here with me right now. So
there you go. Breaking news here on WrestleVotes. We told you you'd get some.
So I will say that if I'm going to pick a winner, I've been steadfast on John Cena and Cody at WrestleMania. I think the better story is John winning the Chamber. I'm going to go bold here. I think John enters at 1 tonight. I know people will be like, are you crazy? John's, getting up there in age and everything else like that. But the story lends itself to John being 1, running the gauntlet, getting oh so close. And I'm going to go with CM Punk tonight. I know a lot of people are like, nah, come on. But I'm going to go with Punk.
Andrew, it was 1 year ago today on Royal Rumble Saturday that we had brought you on to our Twitter space, which kind of kicked off the entire WrestleVotes Radio path. So everyone who's been with us from the start, thank you guys for being with us. And we appreciate every single one of you who's been there. You came to the table last year, Andrew, with some inside information about which match was opening the show last year. In your opinion, if you're booking the show, who do you open with tonight? Do you go with the world title match? Do you go with the Women's Rumble? Do you go with the Men's Rumble? How do you see this card playing out? Because to me, it's really important how the card structure is set up based on how Sami and Kevin Owens are going to be interacting with the title match on the line in the ladder match, and obviously the implications it will then have in the Rumble match later on, or vice versa.
I open with the Women's Rumble because I think it'll get everybody off their feet. Obviously, Cody and Kevin would do that as well. But I'm going to open with the Women's Royal Rumble. That's why, 70,000 people are there for both Royal Rumbles, in my opinion. Cody and Kevin obviously did a good job of drawing people to the building, but the Rumble match itself is the most unpredictable match in the WWE. So for me, I'm opening with the Women's Rumble. I'm going to then go to Kevin and Cody, and then I'm going to do the tag team title match, and I believe Kevin will enter the Royal Rumble as well tonight.
All right.
Interesting. Do you see any possibility of Kevin Owens winning the championship here tonight?
I would love it, but no. I think Cody's, going to WrestleMania as your champion to take on John Cena.
Drew, let me ask you a tough one before we let you go back inside the Cosm for a couple of cold drinks. Would you say that if The Rock does not show up tonight, it closes the door on WrestleMania for him?
No. That match sells itself with he could pop up on Raw and say, I'm the tribal chief. I was behind Solo and everything that went on. and that match sells itself. No, they don't need 3, 4, 5 months. They don't need 2 months. They need 2 episodes of Raw, or even tonight. If The Rock has something that happens tonight, like if he interferes in the Rumble or distracts Roman, the match is made. And I'm going to stay with what I predicted a long time ago before everybody else jumped on the bandwagon. We are headed to a Rock Roman WrestleMania 41 main event on Sunday night. That's why they moved the thing from Minneapolis to Las Vegas.
That's what they say.
Very, very interesting. All right, so you say the Women's Rumble starts the show. Who's the first person coming out the gate, number one in the Women's Royal Rumble? Who can we expect to walk out jerking the curtain here tonight?
Well, I wouldn't call it jerking the curtain. I understand the terminology, but I'm going to go with Charlotte Flair. I think you give that return and entrance, and I think that's and I'll give you the men's too. I think John Cena enters 1 and Joe Hendry enters number 2. That's what I would do.
I love it. The partnership with TNA I think is genius, and I definitely expect to have Joe Hendry in the match here tonight. Do you think it'll be the only TNA superstar that we'll see in the match?
I don't think Nick Nemeth is going to be in it. I know a lot of people were talking about that. I think Nick is on the Jericho cruise, so I think you could scratch that. But anything can and will happen in the World Wrestling Federation, so who knows? But I think Jeff Hardy could be in this Royal Rumble.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Drew. Nah, we'll leave it. We'll leave it at that. TC's pointing to a question for you.
Go ahead.
Do we get Randy Orton back tonight? Andrew Bedell. Do we get Randy Orton?
So I will tell you that I think Randy and Kevin are on a collision course for WrestleMania. How we get there, I don't know. Yeah. So I think it's highly possible, yes.
All right. Fair enough. And my last question is, Mr. Ticket Drew, are you drinking real American beer tonight at the Cosm?
I am not. I am drinking Miller Lite or Garage beer.
Ooh, Garage beer. I see the plug there. Right? Maybe Matt Cardona shows up later. Wink, wink.
I don't know.
All right, my friend. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. We'll talk to you. Have a good time over in Dallas tonight, and looking forward to seeing you soon.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Enjoy the Rumble.
All right.
We'll do this again. Thank you, Andrew.
Absolutely.
All right, TC. So our first guest of WrestleVotes Radio live, our producer behind the glass, as they say in sports talk radio, has a ton of questions for us. So I think we're going to get to him. What do you think?
Yeah, that's why we're here. That's why we're live. We want to hear from you guys out there, WrestleVotes Radio Nation. We want to know what you guys have up your sleeve and what's on your mind. A lot of people want to know what's going to happen before it happens, and we're here to tell you what we think is going to happen, not what we know. So let's go with our friend Naseem Bahar. He's been one of the most consistent contributors to WrestleVotes Radio, so shout out to you, Naseem. We thank you very much for your question. He asked, how many inductees are we going to see this year in the WWE Hall of Fame?
Great question. And yeah, Naseem Bahar, you've been here from the start, so we appreciate that, buddy. I would say you're probably looking at 4 or 5. You have your headliner. You'd like to get a woman in there, a tag team, probably an old school legend, and then maybe a Tatanka or a new school legend, as they say. So I would say 4 or 5.
Yeah, we've seen in the past a lot of Hall of Fame classes really been well-rounded with a lot of entrants. In my opinion, I think they have to slow down a little bit with inducting so many people year in and year out. So I'd love to see maybe 3 or 4 at the very most. I mean, a guy like Triple H, who we all know is going in, obviously he's a headliner, could have his own Hall of Fame by himself, if you ask me. I don't think that's the direction they're heading. I think they will have a few different entrants. I know a lot of people have been clamoring for China to be inducted in the Hall of Fame. I don't know if this is the right year to do it, given the history with her and Paul Levesque in their personal lives. I do definitely think that she is worthy of the Hall of Fame induction. Tatanka is an interesting name there, Joey Votes. I didn't think of him. But yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can go. And I think if you keep it nice and short, the night on Friday night leading into the weekend ahead between obviously NXT Stand and Deliver, followed by then night 1 of WrestleMania, followed by night 2 of WrestleMania. You can't keep people there captive all night. I think the quality of the show really starts to dip towards the end. And we've seen, empty arenas towards the end of some of these Hall of Fames.
Well, yeah, TC, that's what I was going to say here. It depends on the night. They haven't officially announced it. There's no signs indicating that it is moving from Friday. But if it is certainly Friday after a 3-hour SmackDown, I would expect no more than 3 or 4 guys.
The only indication we've had so far is The Undertaker in Stamford, Connecticut the other day saying on the eve of WrestleMania.
That's true.
So he did kind of indicate that the Hall of Fame will be happening after SmackDown. So we'll see if that ends up being the case.
All right, TC, another question. Go ahead.
All right, another one of our loyal listeners, Waffle Reigns. Always got syrup on my mind. Waffle Reigns, when you are in town, thank you very much for your question. He asks, who do you see being the runner-up in the Royal Rumble this year?
Well, they're looking for predictions, and that's what we're here for. I've been back and forth between my winner being John Cena or CM Punk. So I would say at this moment, John Cena is probably the runner-up. CM Punk gets the win. TC?
Well, I said at the start here, I think CM Punk's the guy I'm going with. I had him last year in the Royal Rumble. After the segment that we got to open SmackDown last night, and especially after the Pat McAfee show that CM Punk was on yesterday, I really am believing that CM Punk is the guy to win the Royal Rumble. Now, who he throws out is very interesting. Could be John Cena. I'd love to see that showdown between two legends that obviously have a lot in their rivalry over the years. But you know what? Give me a guy like Logan Paul.
Logan Paul,
absolutely. Because what you want to do is you want everyone to be behind CM Punk at that point in time. We saw what kind of heat Logan Paul had the other night on Monday Night Raw when he came out. But if it's John Cena and CM Punk, you're going to get a split crowd.
Yeah, you're right.
And if you have anybody in the business right now who can get you the most heat, it would be Logan Paul. So for me, I would have Punk, Logan Paul, especially because they invoked his name last night.
Yeah, they did.
With Kevin Owens, the segment at the start SmackDown. So my final two, I'll go with Logan Paul and CM Punk.
Good answer there, TC. Let's keep them going, guys. Keep sending them through. We got time. Go ahead. I got this one, TC. Do the Czech Republic and the Netherlands have a chance to host a PLE? I would say yeah. It's not something either location that I've heard, but I think a lot of locations are on the board that maybe previously haven't been. So those would be two that I would look towards as a first-time location in the near future. Sure.
I have not heard of nether option being on the table, but I'll have to check my sources on that. A little play on words there for you guys. But honestly, it comes down to how much money these locations have. That WWE is open for business. If you want to have a PLE in your city or in your country, you need to have the money to back it up. It's a business plan that they have. It's a business model. Their sales team are targeting places and having discussions. As we've seen with the Elimination Chamber, we reported early on the UK was the first location that was really looking like it was going to happen. And then Toronto came in out of nowhere and threw a lot of money at WWE. And that's where the Elimination Chamber will be taking place coming up after this PLE. So when is the Elimination Chamber slated for?
March 1st.
March 1st. So 1 month from today. And if any of these, nations or cities want to see WWE come to their town, you're definitely going to have to pony up because it's a hot commodity. You see it with the ticket sales and what they can do for the tourist industry in that town. A lot of money can come in through shopping and dining and hotels. So WWE knows their worth, and I think that they are using that to their advantage.
TC, the next question is from Ramen Reigns. Go ahead.
All right. From Waffle Reigns to Ramen Reigns, from breakfast to lunch, here we go. Ramen Reigns, another guy who's been with us for a long time. So thank you very much for being here again today, live on YouTube. He asked, which Royal Rumble match was your favorite growing up?
It's a great question, and I don't think my answer will ever change. I think it's a lot of people's favorites. 1992, Albany, New York, Ric Flair, obviously coming in at number 3, winning the Rumble. I don't think it was necessarily because of Flair. It was because of the people he was in there with. Hulk Hogan, Roddy Piper, Sid Justice, Shawn Michaels, Macho Man, British Bulldog. We can go through almost all 30 of them before you hit a lower level talent, and that's impressive, especially for 1992. So that's my favorite Royal Rumble match. TC?
Well, when do you cut off growing up? That's the big question for me.
Wrestling fans usually don't. So
yep, I get that a lot in my personal life. When are you going to grow up and stop watching wrestling? And the answer is never.
That's right.
One of my favorite Royal Rumble matches is obviously when John Cena came back at Madison Square Garden. Was that 2008?
Yep.
2008, surprise entry number 30. He then went on to WrestleMania to face Triple H
Randy Orton.
And Randy Orton in Orlando, Florida.
That's
Is that correct? Exactly. So that was my favorite. Had a lot of legends in that match. The setup for Madison Square Garden just looked iconic and very memorable. So for me, it'll go with the 2008 Royal Rumble.
Good question. Thanks, Ramen. Thanks for listening, man. What else we got here? Anything else?
Well, we have a few questions from the mail. Oh, here we go. We got Waffle Reigns again. Nope, that's the last question we had there from Waffle Reigns, who we see being the runner-up. The next Waffle Reigns question is going to be, could The Rock enter the Rumble at number 31?
Waffle, that rumor has been running rampant for, I would say, 6 months now. It's nothing that we've heard. It's nothing we've heard that there's going to be a number 31. I guess people kind of expect it at this point. But if a guy like CM Punk or John Cena or whoever throws out the final guy and they're standing there at the end and then a number 31 shows up, I think it would be kind of cheesy. TC, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I got to give a shout out to our friend, the Solomonster. I was listening to him and JD from New York on their Tuesday Night Titan show here on YouTube, where Solomonster brought this up as a possibility. I do like the creative idea of having a winner kind of, celebrating in the ring. We've seen it a couple different times with British Bulldog, and Alberto Del Rio comes to mind when then Santino came out of nowhere, and Santino was then thrown out, leaving Del Rio as the champion.
Yeah.
So, could you see a possibility where someone is standing there thinking they've won, and all of a sudden the final boss's music hits? I definitely could see that. Again, it would definitely put a lot of heat on The Rock. We've seen at WrestleMania last year when he was bossing around the referee, "I'll have your ass fired." I'm on the board of directors. So you could go that way. I just don't know if that's the way I would utilize The Rock if I do have him tonight. If you go through everybody that has been announced and you have that number 30 slot open, why not just use him there at number 30? I don't think you need to bend the rules too much, but if you're looking to really put some heat on The Rock, that could be a way to do it. But then again, if you're on the board of directors, you don't necessarily need to win the Royal Rumble in order to call your shot to get to WrestleMania, as we saw The Rock try to do last year over Cody Rhodes.
So, guys, if you're enjoying this, we hope that you are 20 minutes in here on our WrestleVotes Radio free edition. Join us over on Patreon. We do this every Thursday, WrestleVotes Radio. You get shows with JBL. You get shows with Gerald Briscoe. You get shows with Vince Russo. Bill Apter's a big part of that, obviously, the legendary Bill Apter. So guys, find us over on Sports Kids Patreon and join us on a monthly basis. I think you enjoyed it. TC, what would you say about WrestleVotes Radio?
Well, in my opinion, listen, for $5 a month, you get not just WrestleVotes Radio, but you get a lot of other content that I think will keep you guys occupied throughout the week. We do our best to bring you as much information, news, and notes as we can that you might not find on Twitter or on X.
Yeah.
There are some things that we love to break on our Twitter and X accounts. You can follow, obviously, Joey Votes at WrestleVotes and myself, TC WrestleVotes. So if you're new to the platform, definitely give us a follow. We give you guys as much information as we possibly can, but then we're here to break everything down for you week in and week out, talking Raw and SmackDown and all the different PLEs that take place on WWE TV. We sprinkle in our predictions, our analysis, and also give you guys a little bit of inside information from what we know. We have some well-placed sources within WWE, and that's what we're here to do. We're here to give you guys what we know, a little look back behind the curtain, and I think everyone really understands and enjoys what we're bringing to the table here. So if you haven't, definitely go on to Patreon, subscribe. You can also subscribe here on YouTube as well. There's a couple different levels that you can sign up for. So if you haven't already, go ahead and do so. We'd love to have you aboard.
So Match Mania, thanks. Looks like you're throwing some money towards us. We're not.
A super chat.
Yeah, we're not used to that.
This is the first super chat I think that we've seen.
So he says Seth Rollins is a favorite on all the betting sites. Have to take that into account. Yeah, you certainly do. Those guys have good information. They've been doing it for years. I could see Seth Rollins winning. Absolutely. Seth Rollins challenging Gunther, night one. That would make some sense. He says, don't think Cena wins because of his heavy advertisement for the Chamber.
That's exactly what I was thinking, Match Mania. It's a great point there. They're heavily leaning into John Cena in Toronto. It doesn't make much sense for him to be the face of the entire PLE if he's not working the show. Could you have a segment there where he uses the Elimination Chamber event to announce who he's going to be facing after winning the Royal Rumble here tonight? Possibly.
Yeah.
But if I have John Cena booked and this is his retirement tour, I'd want to get the most I can out of him. And definitely putting him in the Elimination Chamber match. So I'm with you on that. Ears to the ground. I do know that the art that will be used for the Elimination Chamber has been kept highly confidential in the weeks leading up to the Royal Rumble. So I'm not sure if the poster will give away a little bit tonight as to who will win. But if it is John Cena, that would make a lot of sense. That they've been promoting him, and now he wins the Rumble, or maybe vice versa. Maybe somebody else wins the Royal Rumble tonight, and they're the face of this poster going into the Elimination Chamber. So we'll have to see what happens. But I'm there with you, Match Mania. Thank you so much for your question and for the super chat.
Sean Gardner, TC says, could Jade Cargill come back tonight?
Yeah, you know what stood out to me last night watching SmackDown? Bianca Belair and Naomi were in a tag match, and for the last couple of weeks, they've been wearing matching attire. And last night, they were not wearing matching attire. So I don't know if that was a little bit of a hint that they're not on the same page right now. Very interesting little observation on my point. Could it mean that Jade Cargill is on her way back, and we find out who was the person that left her laid out on top of the car and top of the windshield there a few months ago at this point in time?
Yeah.
I haven't heard personally if she is in town. I think that's something they're going to keep very close to their chest, but it would make a lot of sense to be the right time for Jade Cargill's music to come out. And I'd have to imagine it to be a point in time where both Naomi and Bianca Belair are in the ring during the Rumble match.
Yeah, I don't know specifically if she's coming, but I would lean maybe against that, because you're going to have Charlotte Flair as a return. You're going to have Becky Lynch, potentially. You're going to have Nikki Bella. You're going to have Jordan Grace. So you don't want to overdo it with the returns and the surprises. So if all those come to fruition, maybe not Jade Cargill. So we'll see. But thanks for the question, Sean. What a day. Joe Lowry's joining us.
Here's a familiar face from all of our Patreon followers who listen to WrestleVotes Talk with Bill Apter. And what a day, Joe Lowry. Joe, thank you for taking the time. He says, what a day, gentlemen. Happy Royal Rumble Day, and happy Royal Rumble Day to you as well, Joe. It's great to hear from you. And another great contributor to the Backstage Pass platform. If you haven't been familiar with him as well, give him a follow on all the different platforms.
Absolutely.
What a Day's on. He does a great job with you and Bill Apter on Tuesday nights.
Yeah, Joe, appreciate you listening, man. Thanks for working with me and Bill every Tuesday. You do a great job, and that's much appreciated. So thank you. It's 2:40 a.m. here in India, and I'm hyped. All right. Well, it's 4:30 here on the East Coast, and if we take a look at Peacock, we are inside Lucas Oil Stadium. We have a panel including Big E. So it looks like people are getting hyped there in Indianapolis as well, India wrestling fans. So thanks, man. You've been along for the ride too.
You know what that stands out to me is, we take for granted here in the States how convenient watching wrestling is for us and how easy the WWE and other promotions make it for us to consume their content. But you have international fans who will stay up all different hours of the night just to watch what's going on live. So shout out to all you guys internationally who are joining us here today. We really appreciate it. It means a lot that WrestleVotes is worldwide. And I hope you guys enjoy the show. I hope everything that you stay up for and plan your day around works out in your favor. That's really awesome.
Ramen Reigns is saying, shout out to everyone who made this special episode happen. Yeah, we do want to say thanks to our producer. It is late where he is, and he's been on top of WrestleVotes Radio since episode number 1. So we don't want to say your name, but you're doing a great job, man. We appreciate it.
Sportskeeda has been nothing but the best. So everyone who may be listening here today, if you haven't subscribed to Sportskeeda's channel, definitely do so. They provide some great content. They have a lot of great things day in and day out. So shout out to Sportskeeda as well. We have another here from Match Mania as another question rolls in. If Punk wins, he doesn't need the favor from Heyman. Interesting.
Yeah, that's very true. We don't necessarily know exactly what the favor is, though. So I think you can get away with Punk winning and still cashing in his favor somehow. But I agree with you. That's a storyline potential hole that maybe some people aren't seeing there. So good one, Match Mania. TC.
Yeah, I'm really waiting to see what happens with this favor that Punk is calling into Heyman. And the dichotomy, one of my key words there, between Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman, and CM Punk, how it plays out will be, I think, fascinating. Do we get all the answers tonight? Maybe, maybe not. I think they're going to want to leave you hanging for something on Monday night, so you tune in to Netflix, which has been doing some solid numbers, but they want to always raise that bar as much as they can. So if they can leave you asking more questions coming out of the Royal Rumble than going into it, I think they're doing the right things.
TC, let me throw you a question here real quick. There's rumors, and we've kind of confirmed them, back end, that Matt Cardona is a real serious possibility here tonight as a surprise. Of course, the former Zack Ryder. He's done a lot over the last 5 or 6 years to rid himself of being Zack Ryder. If he came back tonight as Matt Cardona, would the pop be as big, or does that radio song, does the woo 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 need to accompany him his first time back?
Well, I think for WWE fans, you have to make it as easy as possible for them to know who it is, especially this day and age with so many different songs changing and evolving over time. Right away, you know who it is with the woo woo woo, Zack Ryder's radio music coming out. So if it was me, I would at least stick with the music. If you want to completely change from Zack Ryder to Matt Cardona, I understand it, but I would keep the presentation and the song the same. If they still have the rights, I'm not really sure, but that's the way I would go about it.
Go ahead.
All right, we got a big one here from a Amir Bihar. So Amir, thank you so much for your super chat here. 109.99, unbelievable. Thank you so much. Amir is saying, a fan from Istanbul, Turkey. Wow, another international fan, Istanbul, coming into WrestleVotes Radio. Do you think WWE will ever do a PLE in Turkey? Well, listen, if you guys are going to be throwing around money like that, I definitely can see WWE wanting to do so. I would, as I said before, I would say all bets are off when it comes to any place in the world. If Turkey has the sort of, I think, appetite for WWE and has the budget to host an event, I don't see why WWE would not want to do that. Obviously, we've seen them go all over the globe, including Saudi Arabia. So for me, if Turkey, pardon me for not being too in touch with what the fan base is like over there in Turkey. It seems like you guys are really, really big fans. So if you guys have that appetite and WWE is able to connect on a time and place that works for everybody, I definitely can see Turkey being a place in the future for WWE PLE.
Well said. Thanks for the super chat. Thanks for the question. We hope for you guys that Turkey gets one. A good friend of the show is chiming in here, TC. Jim Vivano, throwing a super chat our way. You want to read Jim's message? Go
Jim,
ahead.
shout out to you. I know you've been a WrestleVotes guy from day one, so thank you so much for joining us here today and for your super chat. It goes a long way for the platform. He says, yo, guys, I only bet one did tonight outside of my big pool, but for the winner was an elimination under 10s. Feel like it's always a given. Jacob Fatu for most elims?
Yeah.
Good question. So I guess it comes down to, will Jacob Fatu be the person tonight with the most eliminations?
I'd imagine that, but I think the bet is under 10. So, again, with these betting odds, they're not around here in the United States, but some countries, and if you got VPNs, they allow certain props. So, Jim, we wish you well tonight, but I'd imagine Jacob Fatu probably comes down with the most eliminations. Yeah. The question I'm interested in most is who throws out Jacob Fatu, because I don't think either of us envision him as a winner, but we'll see. Yeah, good luck tonight, Jim, with those bets.
Yeah, I don't know what the record is for the most eliminations in one Royal Rumble, but I got to imagine it's under 10, right? Has anyone ever had more than 10 eliminations in a single Royal Rumble match?
I don't think so.
I mean, Kane's up there. Braun Strowman from the Greatest Royal Rumble had a lot.
Yeah, Kane had a big night.
But I think it's a pretty safe bet that anybody in the entire match would be under at least 10 eliminations. It really depends on when you have this guy like Jacob Fatu come into the match. For me, I would keep him towards the end. Yeah. And that really limits how many people are in the match at that point in time. So, without knowing who enters 1, 2, 3, or 4, obviously that gives you the best chance to be in the match the longest, then leading to the most number of eliminations. So, could it be him? Yeah, I said this on WrestleVotes Radio the other day. Give me a guy like LA Knight coming in hot and just kind of cleaning house a little bit. I think LA Knight needs something like that. So if I was making a bet tonight, my pick for the most eliminations would be LA Knight.
Yeah, you made that on Thursday and you're sticking with it, huh?
I mean, I can't talk out both sides of the mouth there for the people live on YouTube.
Certainly not when we're live.
Absolutely not.
All right. Go ahead. Gina and JoJo, TC.
Gino and JoJo. Hey, everyone. I'm so ready for this Royal Rumble. I hope Cena wins. I want to see him win one last time before he retires. Well, I'm with you. I want to see him win too. I'm still hemming and hawing between him and CM Punk. I just think that the path for John Cena has a little bit more legs to the story if you have him lose and win maybe possibly the Elimination Chamber. But I don't know if the world title would be the right call for him. Do you see Gunther and John Cena at WrestleMania possibly?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that's been discussed, especially if you're going to go Cody and Punk. Your world title match could definitely be Gunther and Cena. I kind of like him in the chamber chasing it a little bit more, though. I think he might be onto something. Not to say that he won't win tonight. We certainly think he's an option. He was a betting favorite as of this morning. It looks like, according to one of our super chats, Seth Rollins has taken over last minute, which is interesting. But we'll see. Sean Gardner says, will AJ Lee ever return? Sean, that ever maybe 3 or 4 hours from now. We don't know. Again, that's one of those that they're going to keep super, super close, especially just because of Punk. Punk would want that to be quiet, and we'll see. But it could be that ever could be tonight.
Sean, thank you so much for your question. I really appreciate it. The number one thing that sticks out to me is AJ Lee's biggest rival over the years, I think, were the Bella twins, in my opinion. Maybe if you want to say Caitlyn at that point in time was another big rival for her. So the fact that WrestleVotes was on the scoop that Nikki Bella is in the mix for the Royal Rumble leaves the door open for AJ Lee to return, in my opinion. Obviously, we heard CM Punk on Pat McAfee's show yesterday say that AJ Lee's going to be home watching Larry in Chicago. And then Pat McAfee said, hey, it's only a couple-hour ride up the road from Indianapolis. So
that's right.
Could I see AJ Lee return tonight? I think so. I think she could be the biggest surprise of the entire night. She did do a show. I'm not sure what it was called, if it was called Heels or what it was, on a certain streaming platform where she was training in a ring for a television show that involved wrestling. So I don't think she has that much rust. If she was ready to go tonight, I think the Royal Rumble in front of 67,000 plus would be a pretty good place to do it.
How about that number? TC Match Mania is chiming in. Go ahead.
All right, Match Mania with another super chat. Thank you guys again so much for your contributions. Really blowing myself and Joey Votes away here. We were not expecting any of this, so thank you guys very much from the bottom of our heart. He says, Match Mania says, if Cody loses to KO, can we see him in the Rumble? Interesting.
Yeah, they've done that a bunch of times. Personally, I'm not a fan of it. I don't think Cody's going to win the Royal Rumble 3 years in a row, so it would be a little bit of a wasted spot. But Match Mania, they've done in the past, so I'd imagine it's possible tonight. A little more likely, though, if KO loses, and then you find the heel doing that as opposed to Cody. This finish the story's now over, and then an hour later he's in the Royal Rumble. I don't love that.
I mean, that's assuming that the match between Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes goes on before.
Right. That's right.
We still have yet to see any sort of match placements for tonight, which
I mean, it could be out there. We haven't seen it, so apologies if it is out there. And
maybe people in the chat can get to us if anyone has inside information about where the card might be out there yet. So, in my opinion, I've been saying this on WrestleVotes Radio, guys. If you have the ability to make the Rumble match before the world title match, how would you go about this, Joey Votes? Would you have the Rumble match last?
Yeah, the men's Rumble is going to close it for me. I'd imagine the women's Rumble is going to open it if I was booking it. And then you can get the 2 title matches, obviously the second title match being the tag titles. It's 2 to 3 falls, so it'll be a match that's going to be in the ring for a while. So you might have to break up the 2 Rumble matches, but yeah, I would put the men's Rumble last.
If you do have Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes in the ladder match before the Rumble match, do you see Sami Zayn come down one way or the other? Does he not even make an appearance during the
I think
world
it's
title
easier
match?
If Cody wins and he doesn't show up, Kevin can then say to him, where were you? It's not like he came out and he thought about helping and didn't. I'd rather he just not show up, and then Monday night Kevin could say, I thought you were my best friend. I thought you were going to help me. Where were you?
Well, if that's the case, then does Kevin Owens get involved in the Rumble without being an entrant?
How about Kevin Owens then throws Sami Zayn out, and then there we go.
I can see that as well. So very interesting options here that WWE has left us to chat about, which we are really appreciative of.
Ramen, go ahead, TC. I wouldn't worry about this one.
Ramen Reigns says, if Cody wins the Rumble again, I don't know what I'll do.
Yeah. You don't have to worry. I don't think that's going to happen. So more likely for tonight, Alex Diaz, 1990. AJ Lee or Nikki Bella? I mean, if we had to pick one, we're going to both pick Nikki Bella.
Nikki Bella, definitely, in my opinion, this is something that I know WWE has been working on. They had all sorts of processes in place to make sure that, her catchphrases were usable again, her fearless kind of gimmick. So to me, that is the biggest indication that we will see Nikki Bella here tonight.
Premium Reese chiming in saying the Rumble is opening and closing. Yeah, as suspected. That's the right move.
So women's opening, men's closing. Is that the word on the street? Makes a lot of sense. I think that's the way to do it now that we have a one-night Rumble. We'll see in the future if they eventually go to 2 nights to have a standalone women's Rumble night and a standalone men's Rumble night.
Yeah, but I don't want to break any news here, and we're certainly not, but I'd expect Royal Rumble 2027 likely back here in the States to be 2 nights. I don't think that's surprising anybody.
Yeah, just economically. You have to fill in a building twice for 2 Rumbles, and I think that the fan base is there for it. So why not get as much possible money that you can out of your fans if they're willing and able to spend the kind of money it takes to get two full arenas. Why not do that? So I'm looking forward to that. I think that the Women's Rumble, it's kind of low key. There's not been that much emphasis on the Women's Rumble this year, which is interesting to me. It kind of tells me there's going to be some surprises in store. Obviously, we've talked about the likes of Becky Lynch being there. Alexa Bliss obviously is in a contract negotiation situation here. We've heard CM Punk in the past talk about, signing a contract as he's walking out to the arena. So could you possibly see Alexa Bliss here again tonight? Maybe you could. I think that the creative plans are there for her to return. But just because they're on a little bit of a snafu with their contract negotiations doesn't necessarily take her off the table. So I'd love to see Alexa Bliss return. Obviously, they've already announced that Charlotte Flair will be there, which is a lot of people's pick for the Rumble. Is that officially your pick, Joey Votes, for tonight? Who's going to win the Women's Rumble?
You want to do Women's Rumble picks?
Yeah, let's talk women.
All right. Well, we know. If we're going to do Women's Rumble picks, I'd say all signs indicate, we like using that phrase, TC. All signs indicate Charlotte Flair out on top. We did report on Thursday that Creative is eagerly looking to get gold around her waist again, as she's now back full time. So I'd imagine Charlotte Flair is your winner. But I wouldn't be surprised, I guess, much like the case of John Cena. If she goes into the chamber and has to win it there to get to Tiffany Stratton, to put a little more, maybe blood, sweat, and tears into the chase, as opposed to just coming back and winning a Rumble, I can get behind that too. So not 100% on Charlotte Flair, but she's my favorite, a little over an hour away.
My pick is still Io Sky. I think that
Io Sky?
Io Sky, yeah.
When was that your pick?
That was my pick from the time on Raw when Io Sky and Rhea. That time on Raw, Rhea Ripley was going for the belt, and there was Io Sky there looking at it. She might have even had it in her hand, and I think that was a little bit of a foreshadowing to possibly the Rumble. And obviously, the great part about this is the scheduling of the PLEs. You have the Rumble followed by Elimination Chamber, so not everything is finalized for WrestleMania's title pictures by the end of tonight. There's still a whole nother PLE a month away to help round that out. There are 2 titles for both men and women. So I'm going to go with Io Sky as my winner. Her and Rhea Ripley is my choice for WrestleMania. And that leaves the possibility for who can then challenge Tiffany Stratton there at WrestleMania after the Elimination Chamber.
So TC, as we're doing the Women's Rumble predictions here, we're gonna give not only our winners, which we just did, but how about a Final Four? Do you have a Women's Final Four that you think might transpire here?
Women's Final Four.
Well, obviously Io Sky is going to be in it.
So I got Io Sky definitely as one. I will say Charlotte Flair will be hanging around long enough to be in the Final Four as well. So give me her. And how about we'll go with Bayley? I think Bayley is someone who definitely can be in the mix there. And my last one, how about Naomi?
Okay.
Naomi, I think, is deserved, the spot. She was in a title match there a couple weeks back where the title ended up going off of Nia Jax over to Tiffany Stratton. So she's definitely been sniffing around the title enough where, hey, maybe Jade Cargill comes back and eliminates Bianca Belair, and there's your feud there, and that kind of leaves Naomi floating around in the ring by herself without her tag partner. So give me Naomi, give me Bayley, Charlotte Flair, and Io Sky as my Final Four.
I like that, TC. It's a little outside the box, but I don't think anything wrong with that. I'll give you 4. Charlotte Flair, obviously. I think Liv Morgan has a shot to be there at the end. I think Jordan Grace has a shot to be there at the end. And my wild card is going to be Chelsea Green. I think Chelsea Green can pull off a Jerry the King Lawler type of cat and mouse game within the Royal Rumble. Keep evading elimination until you run into a powerhouse. That powerhouse could be Jordan Grace, and out goes Chelsea Green, and she puts on a big stink. And then you have a ready-made feud there for the brand new United States Championship. Chelsea Green, Jordan Grace would sell some tickets, in my opinion. So that's my Final Four.
The thing with Chelsea Green, she obviously has the U.S. Championship. She also is now building a little bit, looks like be a stable possibly down the road.
Yep.
They're putting emphasis on Piper Niven being her security, and she said on Twitter that she is looking to fill her cabinet out. So it'll be interesting to see who eliminates Chelsea Green and who she then chooses to build around to help keep her a little bit more secure.
Is it AA? Arn Anderson joining us. He says, who do you think eliminates John Cena if he doesn't win? Ooh, it's a good one. You know what? I think the safe bet there is Roman Reigns. I think you're going to get a reaction either way if Cena goes out, and especially if Roman does it. So I think you don't have to put a story around that if, the most over guy the last 5 years when Cena's kind of been away eliminates him. TC, who may eliminate Cena on your end?
All right. So if John Cena is not in any of your world title matches here, and you need a little program for him moving forward, it's something that WrestleVotes has talked about on previous episodes on WrestleVotes Radio here on Backstage Pass with Sportskeeda. So all those who are not subscribed, please go and do so you can listen to us each and every week. We talked about maybe John Cena and Logan Paul as a possibility. So why not get the heat on Logan Paul, have him be the guy that throws out John Cena and dashes his hopes away for that possibility to main event WrestleMania. So give me Logan Paul as the guy.
TC, how about one that I think maybe some people haven't been thinking about too much? Is there a current talent that's on the everyday roster that is not advertised yet that you'd like to see in this match? Maybe reward them for a solid year of work or something like that. We heard from Andrew Badella, Austin Theory, and Grayson Waller are not in Indianapolis. So, those guys who are a mainstay on weekly TV are not going to be in the match, but maybe a guy like Dominic Mysterio, Andrade, The Miz is not advertised. Sheamus deserves to be in the Royal Rumble. Is there a couple that stand out maybe that haven't been put over yet by WWE.com that you'd like to see make an entrance tonight?
Well, a couple of names that pop to mind. Obviously, AJ Styles is somebody who's been discussed as on the return path after his injury back in October. So I think AJ Styles can be a guy that would definitely, make a lot of sense here tonight. His debut came in the Royal Rumble, so 9 years ago. Obviously, one of the most, I think, iconic debuts of all time in the Royal Rumble when he faced off with Roman Reigns, the world champion at the time. So that's a guy I would go with. I definitely can see Trick Williams. We haven't seen much of him following losing the title in NXT, so I think that he could be somebody you can see here in the Rumble today. Maybe him and Carmelo Hayes get into a little bit. Some past rivalries can be renewed there.
Like we said in the past, easy work. Trick will take care of Carmelo, no problem there. Do you have one that stands out though? Maybe.
We heard a lot of reports about Omos being in town. So if you want to put someone like Omos in the Royal Rumble, I think there's a lot there you can do with him, given his size and stature. So I would love to see Omos in the Royal Rumble here tonight.
Go ahead, TC, with another super chat coming in from Premium Reese.
Premium Reese 50. We don't want to disgrace the first 49 Premium Reeses. So Premium Reese 50, thank you again for another super chat. We really appreciate it. Asuka at the Rumble. I also hate how they're overusing Charlotte already. She will more than likely get injured again. She's overused. She's not exciting. She's boring. Well,
so you're saying Premium Reese, Charlotte is your favorite, and you're expecting her to win the Rumble tonight?
I mean, it sounds like Premium Reese has already been relegated to accepting the fact that Charlotte Flair will be utilized in the title picture going into WrestleMania, which is very much on the table. I do think you will see Asuka as well as another good surprise that I neglected to mention earlier. As I was rattling.
See Asuka tonight?
I think we'll see Asuka in the Royal Rumble.
I don't.
You don't think? No,
I don't.
They're gonna wait on her.
You never know.
Okay.
I mean, they don't tell us everything.
No, I mean, we have to ask questions.
We would be in even more trouble than we are if they told us everything.
Yeah. And obviously, there's surprises that are kept from everybody within WWE. And, that's one that she's been in the news lately, talking about some of the people that follow her, and WWE and TKO are going to take some steps to protect her from people who may be getting a little over aggressive.
That's just too bad.
That's
Guys,
one of those. It's one of those situations where, and it's not just only in wrestling. You can see it in all walks of entertainment where you have super fans that overstep their bounds, and it's unfortunate that the women of WWE have had this time and time again with Sonya Deville in the past had stalker issues that resulted in jail time. So I just think that she's out there now and she's ready to go. So I would go with Asuka as somebody I would see tonight in the Royal Rumble match.
Waffle Range wants to know if we will do a WrestleVotes Radio pre-show again. Waffle, we would like to. If you guys like it, you got to let Sportskeeda know. You got to get your friends and family on board to Backstage Pass. But if you guys like us doing this, especially right before PLE, I don't see why not. TC,
I'm having a great time. I hope everybody out there is having a great time. I'd love to do this as much as possible. Talking to the people and giving my thoughts on wrestling is honestly such a blessing. I'm very lucky to be able to do this and bring my thoughts out to you guys, and obviously a little bit of inside information as well. So if this is something that we can make possible down the road, I would love to continue to do this. The Royal Rumble for me is honestly the most exciting time of the entire year. So it was without a doubt something I wanted to get done to kick off 2025 right into WrestleMania season. And what better way to do it with, this is going to be one of the best Royal Rumbles of all time, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
The matches that they have set up, two women, the women's Royal Rumble, the men's Royal Rumble, So many different possibilities. Nobody knows for sure who can win, who's going to be headlining WrestleMania. It's one of the most unique, I think, lead ups to the Royal Rumble in recent past. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'm glad that we're here doing this with all you guys here today.
And we got another super chat coming in from Giants fan 28. Now we don't want to get off track here, but we hope that's the San Francisco Giants and certainly not the New York Giants. But we'll leave that like it is. TC, I'm getting all cracked up over here thinking about that team in New York. He says, I think AJ makes too much sense. The way WWE has been hyping her. Oh, okay. You're talking about AJ Lee and not AJ Styles. Oh, yeah, I guess they've been putting stuff out there a little bit for her, right? Somebody yelled at Triple H last night in the press conference, her name, and he smirked. So, okay, I could see that, Giants fan.
Can you just imagine the visual of Nikki Bella in the ring, and then all of a sudden AJ Lee's music hit? The roof will blow off Lucas Oil Stadium. Her skipping down to the ring, I think, would be a moment that we all will remember forever. So, yeah, it does make a lot of sense. It's close to where she lives there in Chicago, so I'd love to see it, especially with CM Punk's good standing within WWE. Yeah. The timing is right into WrestleMania season. I don't think it can get much bigger or better of a spot to return if you are AJ Lee. So, yeah, I'm with you there, Giants fan 28, and I'd love to see it personally myself.
Premium Reese 50, he's back. I'd prefer Charlotte versus Rhea at WrestleMania 41 instead of Io. Yeah. Charlotte versus Rhea took place in Los Angeles, WrestleMania 39, I believe, and was one hell of a match. So I don't think anybody would be upset if they did it again. I could see a lot of people wanting that match. TC, your interest level there? Charlotte versus Rhea one more time?
I'm cool with rematches. I think those two are two of the best in women's wrestling in WWE and anywhere else in the world. So I would be okay with that. The great thing about the women's division right now is you have two undercard titles that you haven't had in the past.
Yep.
Throw in the women's tag team championships. Obviously, we've heard rumors about Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez maybe going after the women's tag team championship. So a lot of different possibilities for the women here. There's been a lot of emphasis on the women's division over the last year, plus with Triple H at the helm. So I don't think you can go wrong with any of the possible matchups. So if it's not Charlotte going for one of the world titles, do you see Charlotte maybe interested in winning one of the mid-card titles? Is that something that you have on your radar as well?
Sure. I mean, if you're trying to get these titles over the United States, the Intercontinental, Chelsea Green, Lyra Valkyria, two young up-and-comers, you certainly put them with the greatest women's wrestler of all time. That would make a lot of sense. So, yeah.
And I can see Becky Lynch, maybe getting eliminated by Lyra Valkyria here in the match tonight. And that would lead to a program between those two. They're both from Ireland. Is Lyra also from Ireland, or is she from another part in Europe?
That I don't know.
I think she is from
but
Ireland.
You're pretty confident Becky Lynch is here tonight?
I think so. I mean, we've been saying for the longest time. Yep, she is from Ireland. Great.
Thank you, producer.
I've been saying for the longest time that Becky Lynch was never technically a free agent. She was on hiatus where she was, doing things.
No, that's accurate. But do you think her return to the ring is tonight?
Yeah. Why would you hold it? If you have Becky Lynch ready to go, why would you continue to hold her? I think tonight's the night when you want to pull those triggers, especially with the size of the crowd. I mean, 67,000 people packing Lucas Oil Stadium tonight. Why not get the biggest possible pop you can for a return like Becky Lynch? I think tonight would be the night to do it.
TC, I want to hit another match that's on the card that really hasn't been talked about anywhere. Unfortunately, listen to Busted Open a lot this week. They haven't hit this match. A couple of the other good podcasts around wrestling glossed over this match, and not because of the people in it. That's the problem. I think the people in it deserve to be here in front of 67,000. It'll be the largest crowd the Motor City Machine Guns have wrestled in their career. So your thoughts on the 2 out of 3 falls WWE Championship match, DIY Motor City Machine Guns?
It's an interesting stipulation to have 2 out of 3 in a tag match. I can't remember the last time that I've seen such a match like that take place on a PLE. In my opinion, listen, they had us all fooled with the direction that DIY was going. It looked for a while that DIY was going to be breaking up, and lo and behold, they fooled everybody, and they captured the tag team championships. I think Motor City Machine Guns have done a great job since coming into WWE. So it should be a really good match. It's going to be one of those things where, hey, you have a long pay-per-view here, but you don't want to keep everybody waiting for a match
right
down the road on the card here and go too long with a match like a 2 out of 3 fall. So I don't think this match is going to go too long. I would say maybe between 8 and 12 minutes at some point in there is what my guess would be. I don't know. Do you have any insight on why the 2 out of 3 falls was the stipulation here?
I don't, but just looking at the graphic that Sportskeeda threw up here for us, look at these 4 guys that are involved, TC. And if I told you this even, let's say 2 or 3 years ago, forget about NXT's run with Ciampa and Gargano. Look at the Motor City Machine Guns and DIY being in a big time spot on the WWE PLE. I think it's a testament to the workers of that era that are now maybe getting a shot. AJ Styles got a shot long time ago, but he's in the same vein here. So good for Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley wrestling in front of 67,000 people tonight. Finally, good on them.
Yeah, and you know what? I think this is Triple H's vision here, where you have a program in place now to cultivate athletes into pro wrestlers, but you cannot forget about the pro wrestlers who have been up and down the roads year in and year out for decades at a time. And these guys really embody all of that. So to give a nod to guys like Chris Shelley and Alex Sabin, I think go a long way, along with, Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, Johnny Wrestling here. You want to show that these, veterans still have a place in the roster. It's not just about, the athletes who have never wrestled in small locations and gymnasiums and bingo halls and that.
Right.
You want to be able to show that these guys have a place in the company, and tonight is going to go a long way for them. So I'm excited for them that they're getting this opportunity. We haven't seen the tag team titles on the line like this in a while. So I'm happy that this match is on the card, and I'm really looking forward to what they're going to give us tonight.
Now, TC, one quickly, if you watched everything yesterday, the press conference, and then into SmackDown in a couple different segments, we saw the participation from NBA All-Star Indiana Pacer Tyrese Halliburton. I'm an NBA guy. You're an NBA guy. But Tyrese Halliburton, no disrespect, is not LeBron James. He's not Kevin Durant. He's not Luka Doncic. We can go on and on. Do you think they're doing a little too much here with Tyrese Halliburton just because he plays for the hometown Pacers? He is a huge wrestling fan. So not to take anything away from him. He's a 2-time All-Star. I'd love him on my team. But, maybe he's not familiar, or the fans are not as familiar as WWE might think. Do you feel that at all?
No, I mean, not necessarily. I think Tyrese Halliburton has done well every time he's been involved with on-screen appearances in WWE. I know that he has some close friends who work backstage, so I think there's a connection there. But we've seen this a couple different times. When WWE was in New York, we've seen Jalen Brunson involved, along with a few different other athletes that get a chance to shine in WWE. I think it goes a long way to show everybody, hey, you know what? We want to lean into your particular hometown hero, and it really helps tell a story when you have somebody involved. We saw Carmelo Hayes last night kind of call him out as he was making his way down to the ring. So if you can incorporate a little bit of a hometown flair one way or another, I think it goes a long way for everybody inside the arena, and shows other athletes, hey, you guys, we're welcoming you. We want to bring you in. We want to do as much as we can to have that real sports feel. TKO, I think, has really done a good job, with the graphics and who's announcing and who are the backstage reporters and things like that, to make you feel like this is a sports presentation, not just entertainment.
Yeah. So do you see Tyrese Halliburton in the Royal Rumble tonight, or is he just ringside again? Does he cost somebody maybe like Carmelo Hayes? Or I can't see the NBA allowing him to be in the match.
Well, the Pacers play the Hawks tonight at 5:00.
Yeah, that was said about 1,000 times. So that's kind of my point here, that they're making a point that an NBA superstar is going to play a game and then be at the event, potentially in the match. So I think there's just a lot of paint on the wall, and it's not really drawing too well. You know what I'm saying?
I'd like to see a Reggie Miller appearance, maybe, if you want to go with an old school Pacer. That would be something. What are some,
Why
Indianapolis
Peyton Manning there?
Peyton Manning or an Andrew Luck, or who else? Maybe a Marvin Harrison, if you will. That would be great. I don't know which way WWE is going to go with their celebrities, but we definitely have seen a lot more celebrity involvement, which I think I'm fine with. I don't know how all the other fans feel, but I'm cool with seeing sports crossover with wrestling anytime you can.
All right, a couple more questions before we send you guys strictly over to Peacock, as we see Lucas Oil Stadium starting to fill up here. Michael Cole on screen right now. So TC, let's bang out some of these live questions here.
All right, we have Mr. Slamming 123 asking, there is 30 participants, but it would be ideal if his heel aura to insert himself at 31. I think we're talking about The Rock here.
I think we're talking about The Rock. Yeah, if anybody's going to do it, Mr. Slamming 123, it's certainly a guy that can just get away with it. Even in real life, you can say he's on the board. That's why he did it. So
if The Rock is in Indianapolis, do you use him in the Rumble match, or do you maybe use him to cost the title from Cody Rhodes? Could you imagine that, where The Rock comes out? It's a no disqualification match in the ladder match. Anything goes.
Anything goes.
So if you have The Rock there and you want to build a story to Rock and Cody, could you see it being not for the title and maybe for the People's Champ title that they were happy to get over after WrestleMania last year?
You can do Rock versus Cody without a belt, but I think as we're approaching WrestleMania 41, where WrestleMania 40 left, especially the night after, where Rock handed him something and Cody put it in his pocket, I would say that match has to be for the title if you're going to do it. But we'll see.
Cody cost The Rock a WrestleMania match last year, and now maybe The Rock will cost Cody a WrestleMania match of his own this year. We'll have to see. I don't think you have to do that for the title, but it's very interesting to see how that goes.
Sean Gardner, go ahead.
Sean Gardner, again, thank you for another question. Could Stephanie Vaquer be in the Rumble?
Yeah, why not? NXT, the NXT women's roster is probably the best it's ever been, and it's in a good way probably a little bloated. I think there's some female talent that's going to find themselves on the main roster fairly soon, and maybe she's one of them. So I could see Stephanie Vaquer making a surprise appearance tonight. Kyle M says the GOAT Wrestling Pod. So that's nice. Thank you, Kyle.
Kyle, thank you very much.
Indian Wrestling Fan says,
which older legend would you like to see make an appearance tonight? For me, it's JBL clotheslining somebody. Well, JBL is one of Sports Key to Zone here on Backstage Pass, so myself included would love to see JBL as one of the legends making their way. Another guy we mentioned was X-Pac would be cool.
X-Pac's cool. We do know that there's a whole bunch of guys who are in town at WrestleCon, including the Godfather. So if you want to bring him out with his train, or you throw him some makeup and he can be Papa Shango, I'm in for that. So Thomas Vander Wild says,
I think that's Vanderweed. Obafemi in the Rumble to face Amos or Jacob Fatu.
Yes.
Thoughts?
Sure. Absolutely. I think Obafemi has a untapped future as far as presentation in the WWE goes. So yeah, if he wants to get in there and mix it up with Omos or Jacob Fatu, go ahead. Fine with me.
Aaron P says, great show, Joey Votes and TC. How come it's always Joey Votes and TC? How come it's never TC and Joey Votes? That's what I want to know.
Well, TC, that's just how it is right now.
All right. Well, thank you, Aaron P.
Yeah, thank you.
Sai Manaj says, do you think Cody Rhodes main events night 2 again this year?
Yes. I think how about we say all signs indicate?
All signs indicate Cody Rhodes is going to main event WrestleMania night 2. Money Kings, could we see Josh Alexander in the Royal Rumble?
We could. That relationship with WWE TNA is as strong as it's ever been, obviously. And he's one of their top stars. Seems like he's leaving that promotion, but, who knows in reality. So
there's not a lot of spots open. There's a lot of, this is going to be a tight Royal Rumble to get a lot of surprises and legends in. And I don't know if Josh Alexander would have that kind of cachet to crack this list.
I have a controversial take here, TC, that
Let's hear it.
I would rather see Josh Alexander in the Royal Rumble than Joe Henry.
Interesting. You don't believe in Joe Henry.
It's nothing against Joe Henry. I think he's a great talent, but he's TNA World Champion.
Doesn't necessarily need it. He's already has a world title belt, so I kind of see where you're coming from.
People are expecting it, so maybe save him for one night Raw on Netflix where he's out of the blue, something like that. But Josh Alexander, I think, headgear and all. Imagine Josh Alexander with the wrestling headgear, looking at Braun Breaker, whose dad made that wrestling headgear within pro wrestling. Something special. I think that'd be fun. So we'll see.
All right. We have Andrew Williams here. Do you guys expect to see The Rock tonight in some way? Gun to my head, I'm going to say yes.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm not going to be sad if we don't, and I will be very excited if we do. But it just, with The Rock, nobody knows. Nobody knows which way he's going to go, which makes it so much more intriguing when he is involved. He said on NXT a few weeks ago to sit back and enjoy the ride. That tells me that he will be involved somehow, some way. I don't think he would go and do that for nothing. So what better place in the Rumble to do it? He did throw up the 3-2-1 at the end of Bad Blood, which kind of is the poster for Royal Rumble here tonight. The 3-2-1 is right on there. So could that be a little indication as well? I think it might be.
So TC, before we send these people on their way, let's do one more prediction. I think we kind of glossed over it all show, the men's Royal Rumble. Who's your final prediction? What is your final four?
All right. Well, we kind of covered this earlier. My final four is going to be, obviously, my pick, CM Punk, John Cena, Roman Reigns, and Logan Paul. Those will be my final four.
I'm going to give you John Cena, Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins. I think it makes sense to tie a little piece together with all three of those guys. So, TC, anything else before all the attention turns to Lucas Oil Stadium here for the 2025 Royal Rumble?
No, I'm looking forward to getting after the appetizers that Mrs. Votes has prepared for us here tonight.
That Mrs. Votes is all right.
We're going to have a lot to eat, a lot to discuss. I know there's a 30-pack of cold ones for us. Maybe we'll crack one every single time an entrant comes out. That will be a good idea to do after going off the air here rather than before we go on air.
Good thing we're not back till Thursday if we do that.
Interesting. So I thank everybody for having me, especially you, Joey Votes. It's a pleasure to be here alongside everybody joining us. I'd love to do this again. I hope everyone enjoys the Royal Rumble. As I've said plenty of times, it's my favorite night of the year. So shout out to everyone out there in Indianapolis, in Dallas at Cosm, and everyone watching at home on Peacock. Enjoy the show. Have a great time. And I hope everything goes without a hitch, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, so once again, thanks for everybody who listened to this free special edition here of WrestleVotes Radio. We want to thank Sportskeeda for putting it on for us, our producer, and everybody at Backstage Pass who gives WrestleVotes the weekly opportunity to do something like this. It's very cool, and we appreciate it. And all you guys listening, we hope you have fun tonight. We sure will. So that's it. Go enjoy Peacock. Go enjoy the Royal Rumble. And this has been a special edition of WrestleVotes Radio, only on Backstage Pass.